Hey guys, Ronin here. Welcome back to the Retrocade. I hope you are safe and well wherever you may be, and welcome to our very first Suckerpunch Sunday. I started doing these for a couple of reasons. One, along with our Sports Saturday features that we debuted yesterday, I'm looking for ways to diversify the content here on the channel, and also I wanted to be able to play different games and find ways to incorporate them into the stuff I'm doing every week. So I want to start with a treat with this one because this is an opportunity to introduce probably a lot of you to the Neo-Geo. The Neo-Geo, for those who are unaware, and I suspect there's a great many of them, if you've never heard of it, it's because it's a game system that came out 30 years ago. Hit the market back in 1990, and it was a fourth-generation console. It was marketed as the stopgap between the 16 and 32-bit generation. It actually ran at a 24-bit processing speed and graphics speed. And it was only available from 1990 to 1997, but where it really made its mark was in arcades. Because if you went to an arcade back in the day, of which you may be able to, depending on where you're at, you may be able to find some that still exist, but any really, really good arcade worth its salt had at least one Neo-Geo cabinet. And the thing about them was they were really cheap to produce at the time, and you could have multiple games available. So if you found a Neo-Geo cabinet at your local arcade, you usually had at least 5 to 6 games to choose from. And they, like most systems back then, they had their share of platformers and action games and things like that. But where this system really, really excelled was in the genre of fighting games. And we're going to start Suckerpunch Sunday with one of the most successful fighting games that most people have never heard of outside of the Asian Pacific Rim, which is King of Fighters. King of Fighters, this is the first version of it, and it obviously, as you see by the tagline, started in 1994. Since then, they have gone on to make 14 variations of this game, including one that I understand is scheduled to come out later this year, which will be King of Fighters 15. But from 1994 until 2010, there was pretty much a new version of it every single year. So the games outlived the system, because again, the system only ran until 1997. Now, the Neo-Geo, for its time, was the most powerful game system you could find. But trying to find it was really, really hard. In my lifetime, I only saw the Neo-Geo sold at a North American shop once. And part of the reason why it was hard to get was because of how expensive it was. You have to bear in mind, go back 30 years. In order to get your hands on a Neo-Geo, you needed to shell out between $650 and $700 just to get the system. So whereas the cabinets for most arcades weren't that expensive by proxy to other systems from other developers, if you wanted the home console Neo-Geo, it was a heck of a lot of money. And I don't know the exact exchange rate of what, or the inflation rate, excuse me, of what it would be nowadays, but you figure 30 years differential, if you want to try and get it in today's dollars, it would well be over, I'd be thinking close to $1,200, $1,300 for this system. Whereas a PlayStation 5 right now you can get for, what, $500? So you're looking at almost at least 2, potentially 3 times the cost for this sort of system. Which means in its lifetime, the Neo-Geo only sold about, it sold under 1 million units worldwide. But again, where it really excelled was in the fighting game genre. So what we're going to do is we are just going to go ahead and play this game for I figure about it for a good 25-30 minutes and see how far we go. Now, I have played versions of fighting games that have characters from King of Fighters in it. Most notably was Capcom vs. SNK 2, which was a PlayStation 2 game that was ported over. My sister and I, we played that game to death. It has a lot of characters from King of Fighters in it. But I have never played a straight King of Fighters game before. So we're going to give this a whirl and see how far we can go over the next 25 minutes or so, now that I've given that rather convoluted history lesson. But one of the things that you can tell just in looking at the preview stuff here is the translation in terms of fidelity from what you would get in the cabinet to what you got on the system was virtually identical. It was a nearest makes no difference, a one-to-one comparison, which for consoles at the time, namely the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, even if you consider the TurboGrafx 16, which didn't have nearly the footprint that the other two systems had, the fidelity between what you would get in an arcade version of a game and what you would get in the home console game still was not one-to-one. They would have to adjust the coding, adjust the graphics and things to fit the 16-bit processors that both those systems had, whereas with the Neo-Geo, you could plug in the straight port from the arcade cabinet to the Neo-Geo, and it had the punch to be able to handle it. So the crazy thing about these games, and being SNK games, you still have to operate on a coin system. So I'm just going to go ahead and stock up on a bunch of coins here and see what we can do. And the other thing with the controllers was that the Neo-Geo was one of the first ones that actually had a joystick. The controller was custom built for fighting games. You had 4 buttons and an actual control stick. And of course, everybody knows the granddaddy, which is Street Fighter 2. It had 6 buttons on the arcade console. And I think I'm just going to go with the Japanese setup. What I wasn't aware of is that this one also has a 3-player format, as we get the slight lag there, my apologies. Now, I have played with characters like Benimaru before. Ooh, and I'm already getting my butt handed to me. Oh! And I've already been starched, not 16 seconds in. This doesn't bode well. Now we have Gord Diamond, who looks like he is a bit of a wrestler or a grappler. Oh! Oh, and I've already been smoked. So I'm already 2 down with 1 more guy to go, and I still haven't taken out Heavy D yet. This may be a very, very short first fight, as I light up his shorts. But one of the interesting things about the mechanics on this game is that it was one of the first fighting games I knew of that came with a sidestep or parry button. In order to do it, you need to be able to hit both one or you had to hit A and B simultaneously. And you had a charge function, as you can see there, which increases your ability to do damage. The problem is it leaves you vulnerable. And you have to hit 3 separate buttons to get it to work. Ooh, didn't need that. Oh, and here's the M. Bison Honey Marmalade move. Oh, can I get him? Somebody's gonna die on this one. Oh! pat him down at the end, and I end up being meat. Well, let's try it again. Alright, I will try a different team this time. I'll try the Chinese team. So it looks like we have a drunken fighter. Yeah, we're going to fight the Americans again. And you can tell, obviously, that racial stereotyping still back in the 90s was quite prominent. Oh, ow. See if I can take him out here. Hello, my name is Chin Gensai. I will be your bartender this evening. I'm already well into my cups. And I wore old Brian Battler down a little bit, so I softened him up. But you see, after they win, you get a little bit of a boost. And now we have Athena A. And I remember I have played with Athena in Capcom vs. SNK. But I actually remember her from a Nintendo Entertainment System game of the same name. Oh. And I made the mistake of jumping and got my butt literally kicked. But yeah, Athena was in a Nintendo Entertainment System game that I never played. And it looked like at the time, I remember seeing in the old Nintendo Player's Guide that came with the system. Ooh, I like this kid. And it definitely looked like it was a game marketed for girls. Not that I'm suggesting that there's anything wrong with that, but it was a very, very fairy tale-esque sort of looking game. Which obviously did not appeal to dunderheaded, testosterone-laden kids like me. This was more up my street, to be honest. Speaking of up my street, I'm getting my butt handed me again. Oh! Hit the knee, hit the knee, hit the knee, hit the knee. I don't remember most basketball players being that flexible, but man, that sickle kick is vicious. Well, this isn't a good sign. I am now 0-2. I'm only 15 minutes in. Alrighty, well, it didn't work with the Chinese team, didn't work with the Japanese team. We'll try the Republic of Korea. And that is one thing about 80s and 90s games that you couldn't get away with stuff like this nowadays as far as the usual stereotyping of how these characters look. The idea that you have is... Oh! That was harsh. That you have characters who are... While they're trying to be different and trying to create something original... Oh man, he's gonna have a hernia after trying to pick up a guy that big. But I've also played with Chang playing Capcom SNK 2, and his controls in this game are considerably different. And I am getting my arse handed to me. I still have 2 more guys to go after this. See what I can do with Micro Freddy here. Oh. He's gonna need a new spleen after that. So I get to try and take out this last guy with, what, a quarter of a life bar? Okay, that's a new one. And I am toast once again. So I am now 3 down. Team combination isn't too bad. No, it's not bad. It's kicking my butt. Alright, well, if you can't beat them, join them. Because if anything, I want to see what else is available here as far as... That he's able to pull off special moves like that, that's annoying. Oh! Man, I'm whittling them down a little bit, but then they start busting out the special moves that I can't do. And then this gets really ugly. Man, if this turns out to be a shutout... Oh, man! I am getting hammered here. Alright, I finally took a guy out. But now I have to go through the next 2 and hope I can make this work. Okay, he's got a jumping shoulder block. That was a perfect. I didn't get a single hit in on him. Yeah, it's sobering to think I used to be fairly decent at fighting games. Like I said, we played Capcom versus SNK until we were blue in the face, my sister and I, and we got really good with a lot of characters. But going back and playing characters like this in a 94 version that you're not familiar with, it checks your ego at the door. You're gonna have to. There we go. I'll take that. Ooh, I may have found... Okay, and like Street Fighter 2, if you can wail on a guy enough, you can stun lock him and then you can really go to town. Oh, and he busts out that sickle kick again. Uh-oh. Oh. Need the face. Can I get him? Oh, and I got him with there is nothing there. That fight should have been over. I should have been toast. By now, I've got the tables turned a little bit because now it's 3-on-1. And instead, he's knocked out by the atomic knee drop. I have Clark. So it looks like I have Brazilian Special Forces helping me out here. But I might be able to move on here. As I get thrown. Hey, I actually won something! I needed to bring in the Marines, literally. But dang it, I won something. It only took me 20 minutes. Now watch these guys who I've already been completely smoked with completely wipe the floor with me. It would not surprise me at all. And like most fighting games, it's all about pattern recognition and understanding how they're going to come at you. Oh, now Kyo's got that fire punch of his. Oh. Yeah, this one may not go the way I want it to. So if I get through Kyo, Benimaru has... He can utilize lightning, although I don't know if he can be able to in this one or not. Man, I'm pounding away on him, but I'm not... Uh-oh. I didn't need that screen lag. Thank you very much. Oh, you cheap bugger. That's 3 in a row. And he gets torched. It looks like I'm going to have to find a way to charge up here. Otherwise, I am going to be finding myself in a world of hurt. And Rolf immediately sidesteps and gets thrown. That's not helpful. Oh, getting chucked again. Come on. Ah. And yet I get torched. I can see why a game like this would be so infuriating to the average gamer, because you think back in the day of how many quarters you would have to burn just to get through this. Forget doing laundry money. You'll go through your entire life savings if you're not careful. Okay, so I've done those. Let's try the English ones. Now these are all characters that's hi Mai. These are all characters that I have played in Capcom SNK 2. That obviously does not guarantee me any possibility of this going well. Oh, that was not fun. Oh, you did it again. You jerk. Oh. Well, that sucked. And Goro just keeps doing that sidestep flip. Now what I love about King is like the Chun-Li of this game, in that she can do... If you pull it off right, provided he's not sitting there thumping you like that. Now you could go to town on these guys and nothing seems to be making a dent. Now, when I play Capcom SNK 2, Yuri is one of my 3 best characters, and I don't suspect that's going to make a lick of difference here. Alright, come on, you bugger. Got him! Okay, now I only have 2 more to go. And I'm good with Yuri, but... like I said, Benimaru in this game might not have his ability to generate electricity like you can. That little whip kick he does is never fun because it slings you across the screen. Yeah, he does have it. Alright, I gotta be careful. Oh. I'm almost oh, there we go. I am toast. You look better in a... yeah, you'd say that. Well, I think I'm going to call it good there because anything else is just going to bruise my ego as much as it's bruised every other character I've played with so far. But that is King of Fighters 94 for the Neo-Geo. And like I said, it's one of those games that helped define the genre in the mid-90s as far as really capitalizing on the fighting game boom and carrying it through to the end of the decade. And that they have continued to build on it through the 5th, 6th, 7th generation, and now there's a new King of Fighters that's coming out later on this year, from what I understand. I'd be curious to see how much it's changed, and if they follow what they've done as far as Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter in making it kind of a 2D plus or things of that nature. So... again, if you have a game you would like to see me play here at the Retrocade, leave a comment below. It could be anything from the NES, the Super Nintendo, SEGA Master System, SEGA Genesis, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2. And pick a game, anyone you want. You know, you may see me play it during the week. You may see me play it on a Sports Saturday or in a Suckerpunch Sunday. But one way or another, I will try and accommodate your requests as best as I can. So... in the meantime, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell for the latest updates. My name's Ronin. It's been great spending this Sunday with you. I hope you're safe and warm wherever you may be. And I will see you tomorrow as we continue our playthrough of Final Fantasy VI. Talk to you then. Bye.